have Kyle Allen, who could very well be the starting quarterback of the Redskins if things were to stay the way the roster is right now. Obviously,
Right.
Ron Rivera.
Yeah, I think I don't see any way Haskins doesn't start week one. I mean, he started. He was a first-round pick last year. Of course, it was a different regime, but still a first-round pick. And Ron Rivera came out and said that they will not be acquiring Cam Newton, who he had a relationship with in Carolina. So at this moment, they seem pretty committed to Haskins. I don't see Jameis going there. But the reason I have Bridgewater over Jameis, as much as I like upside and people taking risks, you can't throw 30 interceptions in a season. You just can't do that. At 27,
the first ever 30-30 guy.
Yeah, legendary. 27, we have Andy Dalton, who I've always been higher on than most. Again, it's one of those things where there's a hard cap ceiling at this point.
Off the top of my head, I don't know. I mean, you're the Pro Football Focus wizard over there. I used to work for them. But this guy probably has one of the best winning percentages of anybody on this list other than the elite tier. I mean, all the guy did in his first – up until what was it, last year or the year before, his team went to the playoffs every year.
Yeah, then they would lose in the first round every year.
Yeah, but that's more than a lot of these other quarterbacks could say. Don't you think Jameis Winston wishes he could have gone to the playoffs and lost in the first round?
So before last year, Andy Dalton's record in the regular season was 68-50. The last year he went 2-11. But he's also had a losing record each of the past 4 years as a starter. When he came into the league, he had a winning record his first 5 seasons. So, and in 2015, he was on his way to a borderline MVP kind of year, and then he broke his thumb when he was trying to tackle someone on an interception, and then just ruined the whole season for the Bengals. But yeah, I think Dalton would have been a better acquisition by the Bears than another person in this tier, which was Nick Foles at 30. We had Dalton at 27 and Foles at 30. It's crazy, like that. It's 2 years ago, Nick Foles beat Bill Belichick and the Patriots in the Super Bowl, in a game where the Patriots didn't even punt. So Foles has that upside. I think it was just a perfect match of fit and system and personnel in Philadelphia. He does have John DeFilippo, who was with him in Philadelphia, but he was also with him in Jacksonville last year, and he struggled there. And the guy at 29, right above him, is Gardner Minshew. I was struggling between Minshew and Foles, but I just went with Minshew because the Jaguars went with Minshew.
The upside.
Yeah, the upside's there, and also just the dude just.
Who doesn't like Minshew? All right, so who's at 28 then?
And then 28, we got Ryan Fitzpatrick. Who I think who Gardner Minshew actually really reminds me of. A ballsy, balls to the wall kind of guy. Fitzpatrick, he has a place in my heart with as a Jets fan with that 10-6 year.
This is like the third best quarterback in franchise, a fourth best quarterback in Jets franchise history.
In my lifetime, he's probably number 2. Actually, no. Well, I was
Sanchez has to be one.
No, Sanchez isn't one. Sanchez, no. I mean, Testaverde and Pennington were the 2 guys.
What about Favre?
If the season would have ended after week 12, then yeah.
I hate Sanchez. I think he was a major bust, but no credit for this. The guy went to the AFC Championship game twice. I guess that's really more.
Again, but this is a fundamental disagreement that we always have. Is that I very much separate a lot. Like when you brought up Trubisky led the Bears to the playoffs. It's the same thing when you're saying Sanchez led the Jets. He was carried. Both of those players were carried.
Fair enough.
By good.
You think Rex Ryan's ever going to get a coaching chance again? Maybe maybe a college down the road, like Herm Edwards.
He would definitely get a college job if he wanted it. I
he doesn't want it.
Yeah, I don't think he wants that.
Who do you think's going to be the new Monday Night Football booth?
How about me and you? It'll probably be an upgrade.
All right, probably. You could do play-by-play. All right, so I got to say here, I mean, I guess there's no chance he would start, but Josh Rosen, where would he be in this tier if he was, actually having a chance to start? I think he should have started last year.
Rosen would be in the last tier. Okay. Rosen would be like near Trubisky. I wasn't a Josh Rosen guy coming out of the draft. He just didn't seem. I don't know. I didn't like the personality stuff going on with him, and I also the he didn't he was kind of mobile, but he wasn't mobile enough for me. And if you're not going to be a mobile guy in today's day and age, like you have to have special traits, and I just didn't see it with him. He would make there were like last year there was one incredible throw that he made, but that's what like Trubisky does the same thing. That's an incredible throw here and there, but I'm not a huge Josh Rosen guy, even though he's a member of the tribe, but you know, not not my cup of tea. That guy.
All right, on to tier 4.
Yeah, so tier 4, we'll start from the bottom up. So we got Josh Allen at 23. Josh Allen, I mean, if like you were going to create a quarterback in a lab, this is the dude. You know, like just absolutely jacked, rocket of an arm, right? People seem to love him in the Bills locker room. I think there's a lot of room for him to grow, and this is going to be somewhat of a make or break year for him because the Bills are actually putting weapons around him now with Stephon Diggs, John Brown, Cole Beasley. They have Devin Singletary in the backfield. They'll probably add another running back either through free agency or the draft. And their offensive line is stable enough, and they got one of the best defenses in the league. And Tom Brady's no longer in the division, so if Josh,
I just got a point. I think you have Allen at least 8 spots too low. This guy, big time winner. Bills went to the playoffs last year. And
big time winner.
He's got big time fourth quarter energy. I mean,
did you see
the playoff game was crazy. I mean,
what do you mean?
Yeah, but guess what? He ended up getting them down the field. You know, so I mean, he did the job. It was pretty crazy, but fun to watch. And you're going to be hearing a lot of Allen to Diggs for a touchdown this year. And it's the Bills' division to lose at this point, I think.
Yeah, for sure. But I don't think you'll hear some of Allen's to Diggs for a touchdown, but you'll hear a lot more of Stephon Diggs wide open down the middle, and he's overthrown by 10 yards. That's what you're going to see.
Your guy, your mentor, who hit you in the face with an iPhone charger, Chris Sims, was all over this guy coming out of the draft. And
yeah, he was.
You guys watched film together on Allen, so I'm surprised that you're not much of an Allen fan.
I said I'm not much of an Allen fan. I just like the guys above him a little bit more right now. I think the mobile aspect of it is a huge part. You're probably right. I probably do have him a couple spots too low, but I think the guys above him are just a little more stable. Even though I did say I like upside more, the guys above him, while they're stable, they still have that upside too. So I just have Allen at 23. At 22, I have Ryan Tannehill, who, speaking of a history of opinions, this is a guy that I was never ever high on. But he did enough last year to get a huge contract from Tennessee. If I were to actually redo this list right now, I'd probably switch Allen and Tannehill. But I think Tannehill did enough to at least be considered a viable starter at this point, which is what this tier is.
I know your qualifications are, wins and losses don't really matter for QBs, but even looking back,
that's not what it is.
Even looking back in Miami, I mean, this guy he missed the 1 year and they brought in Jay Cutler, but overall he's always been pretty solid and he finds a way to win games.
He doesn't really find that. He was the epitome of average, just like that Dolphins team was for a really long time, which is what this tier is. This tier is right now.
Look at all Adam Gase's players he cut and how good they did last year around the league.
Oh, trust me, I know, I get it. Yeah, and 21, we have who I think is one of the most overrated quarterbacks in the league. We have Jared Goff. This guy had his statistics were off the charts a couple years ago because he had the best wide receiving core in the league. He had the best running back in the league at the time in Todd Gurley. He had a great offensive line and probably the best offensive-minded head coach in the league. And once the infrastructure around him started to crumble a little bit, it all came tumbling down. And when he was coming out of the draft, I did not understand why people had him over Carson Wentz.
The Rams traded up to get him, too.
Yeah, the Rams traded up to get him, exactly. And I was way more of a Wentz guy, and we'll get to him much later. But Goff just also like the intangible stuff. He just doesn't scream leader to me. Seems pretty mild-mannered, LA cool, which is fine. Like, he doesn't need to be like the rah-rah kind of guy. But I have him at 21 because I think he was put in the best possible situation and he did well enough, but he didn't make the people around him better. And juxtaposed to that, we have Sam Darnold at 20, who cannot be in a worse situation right now. And as a Jets fan, it saddens me because 2 years ago in his rookie season, he was, by QBR, the best quarterback in the entire league the last 4 weeks. And he came in, immediately got mono to start the year, threw his entire second season off, did not lost his best receiver in Inonwa. Robbie Anderson now is gone. Chris Herndon, he's not, but he's still but that's the point.
How do you feel about your fellow Jets fans? They're heartbroken that Anderson left and went to the Panthers.
I don't think many Jet fans are heartbroken. I know a lot of them that are like, listen, like, he is a very good deep threat, doesn't do much else. Bit of a head case. They had to pay him $10 million.
The Jets should consider drafting some wide receivers.
But
they should consider drafting a lot of people. So
yeah, exactly. The infrastructure around Darnold is not strong, and I hope they don't ruin him. But I think that, like, again, like, Chris Herndon was out all last year.
Do you trust Joe Douglas?
I do trust Joe Douglas.
But you didn't. Did you trust McCagnon?
I never really got a good read on McCagnon.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. They let McCagnon do the draft and then they let him go. And he spent like $80 million last year. And I don't know. We'll see what happens with the Jets.
Yeah, that's the problem with, like, all of my teams that I root for aside from the Yankees, which is ownership. So that's a whole other discussion. But yeah, Sam Darnold, he is, I think, this year, if the Jets put some kind of receiving core around him and can protect him, then I think he's going to make a big jump. The problem is I don't think the Jets are going to provide him with that because that's the way my life has gone for the past 27 years. So at number 19, we have Kyler Murray, who had a great rookie season. And speaking of infrastructure, they got a coach in Cliff Kingsbury who brought in the air raid to make things comfortable for him. And now they got probably the best receiver in football in DeAndre Hopkins to join Larry Fitzgerald and Christian Kirk. So I'm a big fan of Kyler.
Murray's going to take a huge Lamar Jackson-like leap in your 2021 rankings.
See, that's the consensus right now. Like 2 years ago, Mahomes was all the guys fantasy players all over. Last year was Lamar Jackson, and this year's going to be Kyler Murray. We'll see. I wouldn't put it past him. I do think the lack of size is a problem, even though, as you said, like, I'm the biggest Russell Wilson fan there is. But I think that 19 is more than a fair enough spot. And at 18, we have Baker Mayfield, who really, really had a disappointing year last year, and honestly probably could be a couple spots lower just based on that, because he had such good weapons. And yes, his offensive line was an issue, but and Freddie Kitchens was not a good coach. So he definitely had reasons to not. He definitely had reasons for his performance last year, but after all the commercials and all the fanfare, to come out the way he did, it was definitely not a good look. I think this year he's going to come back and at least get back to what he was his rookie year. I was a huge Baker Mayfield fan coming out of the draft. He was who I wanted the Jets to draft. Darnold was on number 2 on my list. I'm fine with Darnold, but expect Baker Mayfield take a leap next year. So that's tier. That is tier what? That was tier 4.
That's tier 4, and Baker Mayfield, he's got this guy on his team that he could throw to, Odell Beckham Jr. And Hirsch, I think Eli Manning benefited the last few years by having Odell Beckham Jr. So if you use that weapon properly, you could see him moving up the list and getting a big payday when his contract is up. But on to tier 3.
Tier 3. So let's go to start the bottom of tier 3. We have Phillip Rivers at 17. The last time I did this list, I probably had Phillip Rivers like somewhere between 9 and like 12. Last year was a problem for Phillip Rivers. It seemed like his arm was starting to go. The offensive line was not protecting him. And Phillip Rivers is a statue in the pocket at his age. So if he's not being protected, then there's not much he can do. But it's a good thing that he has an offensive line around him now. And again, I did say that we're trying to separate performance, but and make average wide receivers, average offensive line. But last year, the Chargers